Our retiree lifestyle, here and now, no delayed gratification, none at all, even when the sun isn't shining. Windier than it's ever been here. I recall last year we were here and we were out here sun tanning. It's been like this almost all year. Not complaining, this is weather too. I enjoy all weather. I got some whoppers for you today, stick around. The perpetual traveler, a person wanting to go somewhere else to have a better life. We just wanted to travel and have a good time, and we did. We enjoyed the travel. I wanted to see the world. I wanted to see what else was out there. I've always had an inquiry mind, and I've always been curious about locales. I've always enjoyed geography. I got the best marks in school in geography. I've always wondered about other lands, other peoples. So I'm glad we've been able to do it. But this day and age where you've got people within government getting on the show and saying we fight back against someone that isn't trespassing, which there's two kinds of violence. There's the perpetrator and there's the defender, okay? There's the one perpetrating a trespass, and then there's the one defending his property or his life. So those are two totally separate kinds of violence. And when somebody's trespassing on your land, it's like, in most cases, if it's voluntary trespass, it's like, remember those old Bonanza shows where the cowboys were traveling on their horses and they would be camping outdoors overnight, and then they would hear twigs and footsteps, and the show was really good at showing the uncertainty in the cowboy's face because he doesn't know whether it's friend or foe, right? Is it friend or foe? And then somebody would show up and they would start chit-chatting. Okay, friends. But you never know, right? And now that's in an open space. When you're out traveling during the cowboy days, you're out in the open like here and camping out overnight in the woods or in the desert, wherever. Let's say it's your own property and somebody trespasses. You have to 99 out of 100 times, unless somebody quickly identifies themselves and says, pardon me, excuse me, I'm lost or something, I'm sorry to bother you. If somebody doesn't do that, you have to 99 out of 100 times or 100 times assume that it's an unfriendly trespasser, and you don't know how far this trespasser will go. Will they try to take your life? Will they try to hurt you or rob you or something? And so that's my point. When you have government people getting on in front of the public and saying we fight back against someone that isn't trespassing, that is just somebody trying to twist and foment violence against people. It's just that divide and conquer thing where you just foment violence, and this is what I call institutionally sanctioned violence. That's what that is. And that is something that we should be concerned about. It is not something to be taken lightly. It's a serious, serious matter. It's much more serious than the violence that already exists from the everyday run-of-the-mill criminality. As bad as that is, it's even worse than that, because there are people out there that will do whatever they're told, even if it comes to perpetrating violence against innocent people, people that are simply trying to defend their own space and their own privacy, which, you know, we totally have a right to do so. And that's the kind of times we live in. And what is one to make of things like this? Should we all just go perpetually travel and pretend this stuff's not happening? Oh, look at me, I'm eating in restaurants. I'm traveling, I'm over here today, I'm in Paris. Why not? Right? Well, that's what they're doing. When you start seeing institutionally sanctioned violence, you you have to get seriously concerned about the future. Because the iceberg effect says that usually you're only seeing the tip of the iceberg a lot of times on what they're really planning and what they are wanting to perpetrate against innocent people. And it's usually, why am I always talking about these deep, somber subjects?
Because it's what's happening.
It's what's happening, and I'm concerned. It's like we're sitting here going, okay, we want to go grow food. You want to go out and grow food and just start encouraging your neighbors to do the same. Be more neighborly. I think this is a time when people need to become more neighborly than ever before. Where people need to work together more than ever before. And being a PT, a perpetual traveler, just doesn't really cut it when it comes to that. Because you're always surrounded by strangers, you're always assuming that all of the things that you have at your disposal and at your fingertips will always be there, and they will always function as they always have, and you're assuming that they always will. And we're seeing these changes. And you might say, well, over here it's really peaceful, and okay, well, that's fine. And there are going to be places that are more peaceful than others in some ways. But just like the camel's nose under the tent, we must always and eternally be vigilant and be aware when things are happening, even here. So there are places here and there, spots where people are coming together and regrouping and doing things that make sense in order to be more resilient and in order to be able to survive and prosper what some of this cancerous situation that some bad actors are trying to bring about. They're trying to bring about this global cancer, which is what communism is. Nobody that has lived under communism wants to go back to communism. Just ask them, they'll tell you. We may actually witness during our day and age the triumph of good over evil. I'm talking about and I saw an article that said that Bitcoin has been legitimized by the Brazilian government. But what that really means is that it's, again, as I was saying in the previous videos, it's actually being institutionalized and centralized. Because Bitcoin already exists. It doesn't need any legitimization by any institution. It's the whole idea that it's decentralized and on its own. It's like, air is decentralized. You don't have to ask anyone's permission to breathe air, thank God, and it's freely available. So the air is decentralized and it's freely usable, and there's no gatekeeper so that you can have that decides whether you're worthy to have air or not. And so it is with Bitcoin. It's freely available. It's decentralized. But when you see these things, people think, oh, Bitcoin, it's getting used and accepted more. But in actuality, it's being centralized and trespassed upon.
Anybody can use Bitcoin at any time.
Anybody can use the Bitcoin already without having to ask anyone's permission. That's the whole idea behind it being decentralized. And the same thing it's true with gold and silver coin. You have a gold coin or a silver coin, and it's your coin. It's in your pocket. You don't have to ask permission to have it in your pocket or to give it to somebody else and exchange it for something else. So when I see articles that say that the Brazilian government has, somehow, legitimized Bitcoin and people think that taxing something is legitimizing it because we've been bred to believe into communism. We were born into communism, and we've been raised into this idea that Marxism somehow, because it's all we know, is legitimizing something that is normally free of Marxism. How crazy is that? I mean, you're sitting here taking something that's free and turning it into a Marxist tool, and at the same time you have to thank your masters because they've just somehow legitimized it. And
but people are falling for it.
And people fall for this. It's just amazing. Well, there are rumors going around that there are people that want to make the USA the Bitcoin capital of the world. As long as they don't strangle the decentralized and anonymous aspects, of Bitcoin, then I could see that come about, or any other coin, whether it's Bitcoin or Epic Cash or any of these coins. People should be able to use whatever they want, as a medium
and they should.
of exchange. So people have been using barter for centuries and even millennia. People have used barter.
So what were you going to say about good triumphing over evil? What were you saying about that?
Well, central to a culture is their money, and how their money is, as I've said in other videos, that God hates uneven weights and measures, which is to say that paper money is one of the most uneven weights and measures you've ever seen. Just look at how the price of, I was just looking at a scale today of the price of real estate. I know that when I was 18, there was a big crash going on. When I was a teenager, there was a big crash going on in the Pacific Northwest. Real estate prices and, had crashed. And it was saying that the median cost of a house back in the early 80s was like $74,000 to $79,000, and now it's like $379,000 or $479,000, depending on what part of the country.
People aren't making much more either.
And now it's taking, they used to say 3 times your income, and then it went to 4, but in the last 7 years it's gotten over 5. And in other words, the affordability of housing is decreasing, especially for younger people, and especially younger people in cities. The affordability is decreasing. What you have to add to that is that even when incomes increase, people's Marxist contribution, which you might think, why is he calling it that? Have you considered that China has the same income tax rates as the USA? Think about that one for a minute. Communist China has the very same income tax rates as the USA. What does that tell you? And so when people earn more, as this graph was showing over the last 30, 40 years, trying to show how the affordability of housing, that's not the whole picture. Even those people that their income has increased, their contribution to Marxism, also known as an income tax, grows. You go into a higher tax rate. And so the more you make, the higher your taxes. And so you got higher taxes and higher expenses. And so they're really not affording as much housing as they could have either. And so it's just a drain on the collective economy, and I say it's a drain on the cultural economy, because the production of the people is basically being wasted by those that mismanage economies, and Marxism is one of those things. It's just is a tool for mismanagement. All right, what do you think about that? Let me know in the comments what you think about all that. Thanks for coming to the video, and have a wonderful day.